WA Police will launch a significant scale operation in the Perth metropolitan area to combat volume crime. Operation Sweep will focus our efforts on targeting the streets and the suburbs, the hotspots and the priority offenders who are responsible for an unseasonal rise in crime during the month of July 2015. Our new police operating model is designed to be able to swiftly flex its resource and turn to focus our effort on, even more heavily than we did in the past, increases such as we have seen in July 2015. My operational commanders and superintendents in the coming days will turn the focus of in excess of 1,000 police officers on to this unseasonable trend and shift in crime. Their response colleagues, the response officers who provide day-to-day response services to the community of the Perth metropolitan area, will remain unchanged and unaffected and will go about their business as usual. That's the good news. The analysis of the first month of this financial year has exposed an unseasonable increase in crime. The crime statistics for the Perth metropolitan area for the month of July are up almost 20% on July of the previous year, 2014. That's not what we expect to see in a winter month. It is far more typical of what we see during the summer months. These figures, approximately 2,300 more offences in the month of July 2015 as compared with 2014, are spread across the Perth metropolitan area. They include the offences of burglary, motor vehicle theft, theft itself, property damage and domestic violence, and all of those offence types have all increased during the first month of the financial year. We don't know why this is happening at this point in time, but we're acting now by pushing our focus with greater resources and greater effort and energy into this space to do something immediately rather than to wait till we fully understand what's occurring here. What do we know at this point in time? What we do know is that under the new operating model, the early evaluation tells us that we have 10% more vehicles out on the road at any given time throughout the course of the week. 15% more cars out on the road available for tasking at our busiest times, and 22% more vehicles out on Saturday, as an example. We also know that during the first 6 months of the police operating model in the metropolitan area, that our arrests have increased over 11%. And our arrests in relation to priority, repeat, prolific offenders and those out on probation and parole has increased a massive 41%. For the last quarter, we've also seen a substantial increase in our arrest rates across the board. Our police are working particularly hard, harder than ever before, and we're getting better outcomes on the road. More cars on the road, more arrests, more of the right things happening. And that's the confounding thing today, is despite all of that effort, extra resourcing by police, extra application of all the things the community would expect we would be doing at this point in time, there has been this unseasonable change. So we wanted to step forward today so that I could tell the community that this was happening, because they will see some notable differences in their suburbs over the coming 3-month period for which Operation Sweep runs. The operation itself will focus very heavily on the hotspots of crime. We can see the suburbs and the hotspot micro locations within those suburbs where crime is happening more frequently. And we know many of the repeat offenders. And so very much the focus will be on hotspots of crime, those suburbs where crime is happening more frequently, and those people that we know that are particularly responsible for large portions of crime that's been committed. The people of Perth can also help us. Part of the problem here is we're seeing of the 2,300 offence increase for July, about 1,400 of those offences relate to theft and property damage. In regards to theft of motor vehicles, burglary and like type offences, we need the community to play their part and be vigilant. They need to secure their homes. They need to attend to their personal security. They need to make sure that they watch where their purses and handbags are, where their wallets are, that their vehicles are secured and there is not anything obvious sitting in those cars, because a lot of these theft offences are stealings from within motor vehicles. They're also stealings from building sites. Some of them are pay pass offences as well, which is a new emerging trend within theft overall. The community need to play a part in that. Otherwise, this trend might continue. Criminals are largely opportunistic, and that's why we need the public to play their part. Operation Sweep will see large numbers of police on the streets, and today we simply want to advise the community that you're going to see even more police activity in your suburbs. The crime environment is changing, and that should be clear to everybody. It is changing not only in its number but in its makeup, and it's complex, and there are many different drivers of crime. We've talked a fair bit in recent weeks about the impact and the driver of methamphetamine, and no doubt that is at play somewhere in this increase in July. But there are many other factors that are also at play, and many of them are no doubt at this point still yet unknown. This operation is all focused about turning back this unseasonable trend. We're already looking at the crime stats over the more recent days in August, and they seem to be coming back towards a far more manageable level. They're dropping back, but I don't take any significant comfort out of that at this point in time until I see that almost 20% increase in the metropolitan area come back to something which is closer to previous months.